the top 8. Looks like Nick's deck list is a little bit different than what Li Shijian did play at the Pro Tour, but the goal is still the same. Get Ascendancy in play and have the ball.
Retraction Helix plus a mana creature, plus something cheap to be doing.
Yep. That is kind of the big trick here, is Radical Mystic is what Lowry will be playing on the second turn of the game. Wooded Foothills will be sacrificed, and Mana Confluence will be tapped for mana. You saw Yanofsky just start off with a copy of Windswept Heath.
Now, all this is predicated on the deck getting an Ascendancy into play, and this is an issue. I mean, there is a fair amount of looks at it. There's some search in the deck with Commune with the Gods, with Target Scheming, but you need to find it pretty fast, and sometimes the deck just doesn't find it at all.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you top deck it on the last possible turn, and you have a ball.
You do have a ball.
Which can definitely happen. Windswept Heath will be sacrificed here, and Yanofsky is going to search up the plains. How the Ascendancy combo deck goes in Standard should be interesting. Again, it's been a little while since we've had a viable combo deck in Standard. And, you know, I imagine that, you know, the Pro Tour was just one step. You know, there were some players like Luis Scott Vargas and players on Team Channel Fireball who did play this deck. Li Shijian makes the top 8 of the Pro Tour with the deck. But it's, you know, what's the best version? What's the best win condition? I think we're going to find that out over the next couple of weeks and months here.
There's actually a lot of ways to kill someone once you go off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like the list is set in stone by any means.
See, Lowry has a copy of Goblin Rabblemaster here. The big thing is Anthony doesn't really know what he's up against at this point. You have to imagine, right? Opponent with a Windswept Heath gets a Plains and then a Mana Confluence. That could be actual anything.
Yeah.
That said, Goblin Rabblemaster immediately puts your opponent to the test. Do you have some sort of answer? Yes, no, maybe so. Looks like the answer right now is no. Here's an attack for 1.
Should go without saying here that this is also Anthony's best threat in the matchup because it's the fastest thing he has going on.
Well, now the jig is up.
Okay, well, now we know.
Jeskai Ascendancy is what you're doing. I guess I have to try to beat that. So there's the powerful enchantment. Here's an Astral Cornucopia. That will allow Yanofsky to draw and discard a card. Whenever you play a non-creature spell, which Astral Cornucopia is, you may draw a card, and if you do, you discard a card. So Yanofsky did that. He drew and then he discarded Yavimaya before passing the turn back over to Lowry. And now Anthony knows, well, let's get a move on.
And the Cornucopia is his free way of going off, basically, on top of Retraction Helix, plus a mana creature, and then he has Altar the Brood for the kill, just milling over Anthony's entire deck.
And if we do get to see that in action, we'll, of course, explain it to you guys at home. For those of you who have never seen it before, it does get a little bit complicated, but what it does, more importantly, is get the opponent dead.
Now, Anthony is able to just sit here with Teamer Charm backup now, and the combination of Rabblemaster plus a Mana Leak may be too much.
Yep. Target Scheming here. So a quick draw and discard to start here for Yanofsky. Of course, discarding all these cards is actually quite powerful too, because that means that you're building your graveyard for Dig Through Time.
Yeah, there are 4 copies of Dig Through Time and 2 copies of Treasure Cruise. So all this self-milling, this looting is very powerful for Nick.
Now the scheming is what Nick is hoping does resolve. So 5 cards.
It's like a really good index.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It can be both.
Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put a number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on top of your library in any order. Of course, this will allow you to, again, build towards Dig Through Time as well.
Yes.
Get some of the garbage out of the way as there's a Mana Confluence. And you see that there are plenty of cards in the graveyard now for Yanofsky to actually cast Dig Through Time. Also take, of course, 2 damage to do so, but the pressure that Goblin Rabblemaster is putting on might be too much for Yanofsky to overcome.
And not surprisingly, the best card in the Ascendancy combo deck is Sylvan Caryatid, because it is the best blocker, your most stable way of going off, and you need a mana creature anyway.
Oh, a Boon Satyr in the turn. Hello.
Ooh, hold up Teamer Charm and be able to deploy Boon Satyr if nothing threatening happens. That is a nice turn.
All right, it's a lethal turn here for Lowry.
That's a Brian Kibler turn right there.
Shivan Reef, trigger the Grabblemaster, attack with everybody. Yes, sir. Anthony Lowry's going to win game number 1 here with this Teamer aggro deck over Nick Yanofsky and his Ascendancy combo deck. Lowry up 1 as we head to the sideboards here. Now, this is the big problem with the Ascendancy deck, right? You're this combo deck that's doing powerful things, but your sideboard is really not great.
Well, there's only so much wiggle room because this deck is not that efficient on its slots. You have to play a lot of mana creatures. You have to play 4 copies of Retraction Helix. You need to be playing with these Astral Cornucopias, and you can't get away from these cards, most likely, unless you fully convert your deck. The sideboard here, Nick has 3 copies of Swan Song, Surek Dragonclaw, 2 negates, 2 lightning strikes, a Mistcutter Hydra, Satyr Wayfinder, 3 copies of Anger of the Gods, 2 copies of Erase. He can bring in the 3 copies of Anger of the Gods. Anthony showed, a lot of very low toughness creatures, but Anger of the Gods also plays a little bit awkwardly with the mana creatures of this deck. I think he just needs to bring in his extra removal, the lightning strikes and 3 copies of Anger of the Gods.
On the other side of things here for Lowry, he's got 3 copies of Hornet's Nest, 3 Lightning Strikes, 3 Magma Sprays, 2 Nissa World Waker, 3 Disdainful Stroke, and then a Chandra Pyromaster, as he's been known to play from time to time. I mean, these burn spells do interact with the mana accelerants, but none of them get around Sylvan Caryatid, which is what the card's so good in the deck.
Yeah, Magma Spray is great in this matchup because it's a very cheap way of disrupting all the other mana creatures. But if Nick has a Sylvan Caryatid, it is what it is. You can't kill it, and it makes the deck a lot more stable. So you just have to hope he doesn't find it. But the Magma Sprays are great.
Yeah, it's just, what's the density of Magma Sprays and stuff like that you want to have in your deck versus just trying to be a proactive deck here for Lowry. There are definitely some cards that are probably too slow. A card like Stormbreath Dragon, for example. 5 mana tapping out for that and, putting your shields down might just be too slow in this matchup. So we'll see how he does want to sideboard and move things around here for game number 2.
Especially since Anthony can play on Nick's turn. You know what I mean? He has Teamer Charm. He has the Stubborn Denials. Other disruption as well, so I don't think he wants to be committing a lot of mana on his main phase because he can fight back against what Nick's doing.
So last week, there was a sweet Pro Tour. There was also the state championships, which Ross Merriam did win. Kevin Jones won. The boss won.
You top forward.
I got 3rd place in Washington. Still got it after all these years. And luckily, we'll have those next year as well, every Pro Tour weekend.
Every Pro Tour weekend, it's going to be regionals in the winter and the summer, and then the spring and the autumn will be states. You see the dates posted. They do correspond with the Pro Tour weekend. So if you find yourself not qualified for the Pro Tour but still want to play in some high-stakes tournament Magic, well, Star City Games is offering these state and regional championships.
Should be fun. I had a lot of fun states. Did some battling. Played Brad Nelson's crazy red-white. I'm an aggro deck game 1. I'm a Planeswalker and Wrath deck game 2. Game 3, who knows what I am? Maybe I'm a combination of the two. I know that during the Pro Tour there was a live look-in Brad's match, and Brad had a Monastery Swift Spear and a Titan Strength in the graveyard, and he was casting and hostilities.
Yep.
So
it's just good deck building.
Kind of just par for the course, along with like a Planeswalker in play against Seth Manfield, and it's just like, what's going on? I don't know, but Brad, you're just out of your mind, I guess.
Just do your thing, man.
Pretty much.
Just go on living your life.
It worked. He ended up getting 30th place in the tournament. I know he liked that deck a lot, and we'll see how that deck, kind of what happens with it moving forward, and if anyone's playing it this weekend as well. It did not get the press of a lot of other decks at the Pro Tour. Of course, Abzan winning, Abzan aggro in the hands of Sigrist, and Jeskai in the hands of McLaren, and of course, Ascendancy combo as well. So we'll see what kind of happens to that red-white deck as we do continue game number 2 here between Lowry and Yanofsky. Oh no. Oh no, that's a pass for Nick. There's an Elvish Mystic. Does he have a second land? He does not. You have to imagine he has a hand with Rattleclaw, Mystics, and Sylvan Caryatid.
Yeah, well,
doesn't have a second land.
Here's the thing. Anthony's deck is slow enough, though. Here is the Route Master
not
again.
This game.
That Caryatid on turn 3 or 4 still might be good enough. But this is the disaster.
And just Guy's Tendency was the draw. He's got to discard a Treasure Trees before passing the turn back. Lowry looks like he may have a copy of Stormbreath Dragon in his hand. He does. And yeah, this game's going to be over before it even started. It's now the Route Master's going to grow large. You got the Dragon in the air. And Nick might just be dead next turn.
Yeah, Stormbreath Dragon against opponent with 1 land in play is usually pretty solid. Solid play.
Yep, and he kept a hand with Sylvan Caryatid, a Commune with the Gods, and some other things, and just did not draw a second land. I want to take a look at his mana base really quickly. It looks like he only does have 21 lands. So that's a little bit risky.
I'm not mulliganing a hand that can, with a Caryatid and a green source of mana.
Okay.
On 6.
Okay.
No, I'm not mulliganing that hand.
That's fair. That's fair.
He had an Ascendancy, too. I mean, his hand's pretty lined up. It's lined up very nicely if he draws a land on time.